Hey everyone, welcome to the show. You ever get that feeling like, ah, work should be, exciting
hmm
and you should feel good about it, but instead it just kind of leaves you feeling like burned out. Like, shouldn't we enjoy what we do, for such a big part of our lives?
Yeah, for sure.
So today we're diving deep into Lead Well, which is, the full title is Lead Well, 5 Mindsets to Help Your Team Thrive.
Okay.
And it's kind of a practical guide, It flips the script on how we think about leadership and how we create a work environment where, well, where everyone can thrive. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any other deep dives like this one.
Right.
And you can find the book on Amazon. We'll put the link in the description.
Okay, great.
Now, before we get into those 5 mindsets, let's talk about the author a little bit.
Okay.
Paula Davis is a former lawyer, so she's coming from that world,
Yeah.
but she's become a resilience and well-being expert.
Interesting.
And it's a really interesting perspective, I think, that she brings to all this.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny because she actually got a lot of inspiration from her dad's manufacturing business,
Mm.
which was really successful. And that got me thinking, maybe there are things that industries that we don't usually associate with well-being, can teach us about how to make work better.
That's so true. Yeah. It's easy to kind of put things in boxes, but really these ideas like well-being and good leadership, they apply everywhere, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the book really starts by talking about something I think we've all been feeling. Work has changed so much, especially after the pandemic. It's not just about, clocking in and clocking out anymore. People are looking for meaning, they want flexibility, and honestly, they just don't want to be jumping ship as soon as something better comes along.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get this, 71% of C-suite execs, the people at the top,
That,
they said they'd consider leaving their job for a company that's uh, better about supporting well-being.
that's huge. That says a lot.
It's like a wake-up call, isn't it?
It really is. And I think, it shows that it's not just about employees feeling stressed or unhappy. It's that it's like a system problem. Like the way we've always thought about leadership just isn't working anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And that's where Paula's idea of the core six comes in. These are 6 things that she says are like the biggest reasons people get chronic stress and burnout at work.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of those.
One of them really resonated with me, and I bet it will with a lot of our listeners too. It's unmanageable workload.
Ugh. Yeah, I know that one.
She found that like 63.3% of the people she studied said they felt overwhelmed by their workload at least once a week.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
And, it's easy to just say, oh, you just need to get better at time management. But Paul is saying it's actually a problem with the way companies are run. Things like not having clear priorities or bad communication and just a culture of working too much.
That makes sense. It's like, using a little, what's it called? Like a squirt gun to put out a huge fire when what you really need is like a fire hose.
Exactly. So how do we get that fire hose?
That's where these lead well mindsets that she talks about come in. They basically give you a framework to, deal with these challenges. But it's not just about what the individual can do. It's also about looking at the systems and structures that are part of the problem.
Interesting. So these lead well mindsets, what are they? Give us a little preview.
Yeah, so there are 5 of them. Sticky recognition and mattering, ABC needs, workload sustainability, systemic stress resilience, and values alignment and meaning. And the idea is they help create a workplace where people feel seen, they feel valued, and they feel like they can do their best work.
Okay, I like that.
And what's really important, I think, is that she's talking about well-being as more than just not being stressed. It's about actually thriving.
I love that. It's going beyond just getting by. Okay, let's talk about one that really stood out to me, sticky recognition.
Hmm.
Paula tells this great story about a lawyer who gets a thank you call years after they finished a project.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't just a generic good job. It was really specific and genuine, and it really made them feel like their work mattered.
Yeah.
And years later, they still remembered it.
That's amazing. It shows you how powerful a little bit of recognition can be.
And it's connected to this whole idea of mattering.
Exactly. When people feel like they matter at work, like what they do is important and people notice, it makes them more motivated, more engaged, and just happier overall.
So it's not just about feeling good. It actually affects how well they do their job.
Absolutely. It's like the best kind of motivation because it comes from inside,
Mm.
not from someone telling you what to do or giving you a reward.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mm.
Now, I'm curious about these ABC needs: autonomy, belonging, and challenge. Especially the autonomy part, because you hear so much about flexibility and work-life balance these days. What does Paula say about that?
Right.
And how does that fit into this lead well idea?
Well, she talks about different kinds of autonomy, like being able to decide your own career path or even how you approach your work. She gives the example of a law firm that lets their lawyers have more say in their careers.
Oh, interesting.
And the point is that autonomy isn't just about like where you work, it's about how you work and what you're working on.
So it's about giving people more control over their work life. That sounds really empowering. But what about belonging?
Yeah, that's important too. It's about feeling connected to your coworkers and feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself. She talks about a company that encourages people to just like hang out together and get to know each other outside of work.
That's cool.
It might seem counterintuitive, but those informal connections can actually make teams work better together.
You know, it reminds me of that study about heartbeats and decision making.
Oh, yeah.
When teams are really in sync, their heartbeats start to sync up too, and they make better decisions together. Isn't that wild?
It is. It shows that feeling connected, like physically,
Mm.
can actually make you more creative and collaborative.
Wow. So you're saying, Paul is saying, that creating this feeling of belonging isn't just about being nice, it's actually about getting better results. Right.
Exactly. It's about using that human connection to make things work better.
That's really interesting. Okay, so I'm starting to see how these mindsets could really change the way we work. But before we move on, I'd love to hear what you're thinking so far. What's standing out to you?
I think what's really cool is how Paula connects all these different things, like well-being and leadership and actually getting things done.
Hmm.
It's not about picking one over the other. It's realizing they all kind of work together.
Right.
You can't have a team that really performs well
Mhm.
if you're not paying attention to, what people actually need.
Yeah, it's like building a house. You need a strong foundation before you can, add all the fancy stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what these lead well mindsets are, like the blueprint for that foundation.
I like that. Okay, so let's go back to that unmanageable workload thing for a second.
Yeah.
Besides telling people to just work less, what are some things you can actually do about it?
Well, one thing Paula talks about is setting boundaries, like being clear with your clients and coworkers about what you can handle and when you're available. She mentions the Mindful Business Charter and the U.S. Bank Guidelines as examples.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, they're trying to shift the culture away from this idea that you have to be on all the time. Like, it's okay to, protect your time and energy.
Yeah, I love that. It's like giving everyone permission to not feel guilty about saying no sometimes.
Exactly. And it's not just about saying no to extra work. It's also about working together as a team more effectively.
Right.
Like making sure everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing and sharing information so you're not duplicating effort. It's about working smarter, not just harder.
And speaking of working smarter, Paul even has a section about using, AI to help manage your tasks better.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
It's a good reminder that technology can help us, but it's really up to us to use it in a way that that actually makes our lives better, not more stressful.
For sure. It's about using those tools to support our well-being, not add to our stress.
Hmm.
And that kind of brings us to the last mindset, which is values alignment and meaning. And it really ties everything together, I think.
Okay, tell me more about that one. How does aligning your values with your work, how does that make you a better leader?
It's about finding that connection between what you do every day and something bigger than yourself, something that gives it meaning. Paula says it's important to, make sure your work aligns with your own personal values.
Okay.
And as a leader, you want to help your team members do the same thing. When people feel like their work has a purpose, like it's not just about a paycheck, it can really change how they feel about their job.
Yeah, that makes sense. It would be super motivating, right? But how do you actually do that? Like, how can leaders help their teams connect their work to something bigger?
Well, she has like 6 specific things leaders can do. One that I thought was really interesting was this idea of speaking your team members' values back to them.
Oh, what does that mean?
It means noticing and acknowledging what's important to them and creating an environment where those values are like supported and celebrated.
So it's about making people feel seen and appreciated for who they are and what they care about.
Exactly. And to make it even more practical, she talks about this concept called microcrafting.
Microcrafting.
Yeah, it's about making small changes to align your work with what matters most to you. Like, it could be as simple as, changing your password to something that reflects a goal you have.
Hmm.
Or maybe you block off time in your calendar to work on a project that you're really excited about, even if it's not, officially a top priority.
I like that.
It's about taking control of your work experience and making those little adjustments that can actually make a big difference in how you feel overall.
That reminds me of a time, that reminds me of this time when I was just feeling so overwhelmed with work.
Yeah.
I had taken on too much, and I was like, how am I going to get it all done? And then I remembered this thing I'd heard. It
Okay.
was like, what's one small thing you can do to make things a little bit better right now?
Right.
So I decided to, microcraft my to-do list.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of looking at all the stuff I hadn't done yet, I focused on what I had already finished.
Okay.
I even added a few things for my personal life.
Yeah.
Like finally making that dentist appointment I've been putting off.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny, it was such a little thing, but I instantly felt better and like I had more energy to tackle the rest of my list.
That's a great example of microcrafting. It's like taking back a little bit of control, even when things feel crazy.
Yeah, it's so easy to just get stuck in that feeling of overwhelm, like you can't do anything about it.
Right.
But this idea reminds you that you always have choices, even small ones.
Exactly. And even those small choices can lead to bigger changes, and they can inspire other people too.
It's like that saying, be the change you want to see, but for work.
I love that. And the best part is you don't have to be the CEO or anything to lead well.
Right.
These mindsets, anyone can use them no matter what their job is.
Mm-hmm.
It's about taking responsibility for the things you can control and making choices that create a better experience for you and everyone around you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Lead Well, what's your biggest takeaway? What's one thing that really stuck with you?
For me, it's definitely the microcrafting thing.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but it's really powerful, you
Yeah.
know? We think we have to make these huge changes to find meaning in our work.
Right.
But Paul is showing us that sometimes it's the little things that make the biggest difference.
Totally. So what if you started every meeting by pointing out something good that someone on your team did?
Oh, I like that.
Or what if you blocked off 15 minutes a day to work on something you're really passionate about, even if it's not, a top priority?
Those are great ideas. It's about those little choices that bring more joy and purpose to your day.
Yeah. And it can spread.
Exactly. When we start leading well, when we focus on, recognizing people and giving them autonomy and helping them find meaning, it inspires other people to do the same.
It's like planting a seed.
Mm-hmm.
It might be small at first, but with a little care, it can grow into something amazing.
Beautiful analogy. I think that's a great place to end.
I agree. So that's it for our deep dive into Lead Well. We hope you found it helpful and maybe even inspiring.
Yeah.
Let us know what you thought. Share your favorite parts or any aha moments you had in the comments.
Mm-hmm. We'd love to hear from you.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please like and subscribe and share it with anyone who might be looking to lead well and create a better workplace for everyone.
Yeah, spread the word.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep leading well.